Okay. What's up, guys? Adam here, aka Anti-Cena Guy, coming at you with night 2 of WrestleMania 42. Sunday. Just got finished done watching it moments ago. Epic main event, folks. Epic main event between CM Punk and Roman Reigns for the World Heavyweight title. Epic match. But did it save the whole pay-per-view, WrestleMania Night 2? I don't know. If I'm being perfectly honest, I thought there was only 2 great matches on the entire card. That was the main event and the ladder match. The rest seemed like mediocre matches, or matches that nobody gave a flying fuck about. Matches you could have easily seen on SmackDown, or for that matter. But I'm going to go through each match one by one and tell you what I personally feel about it. In the first match, Obafemi defeated Brock Lesnar. Is this the last time we've seen Brock Lesnar? Because this match wasn't on for very long, and I kind of expected that. Obafemi won, and I expected that also. I got my prediction right for that. Obafemi is a rising star, and WWE think he's a treasure. It is a big accomplishment enough just facing Brock Lesnar at WrestleMania. But to get a victory over Brock Lesnar is a massive push. And if Brock Lesnar would have defeated Obafemi, it wouldn't have made sense. Especially if Brock Lesnar's playing on retirement. Or, you know, if he's going to pass the torch or help build younger talent, it would have made no sense for him to defeat Obafemi. You know what I mean? So, I can understand why Obafemi won. But I was not expecting Brock Lesnar to take off his gloves and boots and leave him in the ring. To be honest, I thought Brock Lesnar was going to have his last match at SummerSlam in his hometown of Minneapolis. You know? But, you know, if this is Brock Lesnar's last match, it's sad, but people forget that he's nearly 50 years old. You know what I mean? And for him to leave his gloves and boots in the ring, and he got emotional crying, you know, Paul Heyman was crying with him. The crowd was chanting, "Thank you, Brock. Thank you, Lesnar." And Brock Lesnar was clearly telling everybody that he's retired and he's made a career in WWE. I don't know if it's a storyline or I don't know if it's legit. Only time will tell. But in my opinion, the right guy won Obafemi. If you're going to push a younger star into the next big thing, what better way to get a victory over Brock Lesnar? Because he's the same build as Brock Lesnar. He's younger, he's faster, there's a 20 years difference. So it makes perfect sense. I mean, it wasn't a long match and it wasn't a squash match. It went on for about 5 or 6 minutes. Both guys exchanged blows, but Obafemi made the F5 look weak. And he hit his finisher on Brock Lesnar and he picked up the victory. You know, so the main moment here was Brock Lesnar hanging up the boots. But is it legit? Is it part of a storyline? I have no idea. Only time will tell. But what a way to kick off WrestleMania. You know, simple match, but one of the greatest of all time was Brock Lesnar retiring. You know, sad, but it seems true. And in the second match, Penta won a ladder match to retain the Intercontinental Championship, and this was a fucking brilliant match. I really enjoyed this match. I was watching this match with my buddies, and we all agree that this was one of the best matches of the night on the card. You know what I mean? I mean, we all like Penta. I mean, in there you had Rusev, Rey Mysterio, Dragon Lee, and some other superstars which I wasn't really familiar with. But everyone put on a very entertaining spot in this match. I mean, there was people being slammed through ladders. There was moves done off ladders, ladders breaking, people flying all over the fucking place, which you could expect to see in a ladder match. And it was for the Intercontinental title as well. So we didn't mind Penta retaining the Intercontinental title. If the title would have exchanged hands, that would have been cool also. It's kind of sad seeing Rusev being buried, you know, because he's like a jobber now. But I've always been a fan of Rusev, but the way he's being used right now is not particularly great, you know. Rey Mysterio, I wouldn't have expected him to win the Intercontinental title because he's like 50 plus years old. And he's playing on retirement soon anyway. You know, even though he moves around like a fucking cruiserweight in his 20s, you know, the time is heading near for Rey Mysterio. But I like Dragon Lee. I like the other superstars that competed, and it was a pretty epic match. We enjoyed all the moves, the dangerous stunts. This was a really great match. Sadly, it was one of the only great matches on the card, because from here it starts to go downhill, guys. I'm not fucking kidding. Because talk about match number 3, Trick Williams defeated Sami Zayn for the US title, and not a fuck was given. You know, Sami Zayn came out, he got booed heavily out the arena, so did Trick Williams. You know, nobody gave a flying fuck about this match. I mean, was this match really needed on the card? I mean, we could have seen a US title match between Sami Zayn and Trick Williams on SmackDown, you know what I mean? It's like a SmackDown match. This wasn't like a United States Championship WrestleMania quality type of match, and it didn't even last that very long. There was a few hard-hitting moments, but I'm going to be perfectly honest with you, I'm not a big fan of Sami Zayn. Not really. And Trick Williams, I really don't know anything about him. But the guy is obviously going to be a big deal one day, because he's now won the US title on the grandest stage. So, who knows. But I remember during this match, I went for a piss break. I went in the kitchen to make a coffee. And by the time my kettle had boiled to make the coffee, the match was over. And I was like, shit, what happened? And I didn't even catch the ending. All I know is Trick Williams was crowned the new United States champion. You know what I mean? So it was like a flash in the pan type of match. So it is what it is. You know what I mean? Not a flying foot was given about this match. And the 4th match, the Demon Finn Balor defeated Dominic Mysterio in a street fight. I've said this time and time again, I can't fucking stand Dominic Mysterio, guys. I really can't. I really can't understand what the big hype is behind this guy. I really can't understand why he's been pushed to major heights after being in the company for such a short amount of time. You know, he did his entrance where these luchadors were carrying him to the ring in this big chair, like he's like some sort of big deal. But every time I watch Dominic Mysterio's matches, I never get excited. Never. I mean, this match was a perfect example, and it was a street fight as well. And it was nice to see the Demon. I think he was the only attraction in this match, like the way he looked in the face paint and everything. But for a street fight, it wasn't nothing special. You know what I mean? Yes, there was a few table shots, broken tables. There was a scene where Dom couldn't even set up the table right, because when he set up the table, the leg was like still folded, and the crowd noticed this and took the piss out of Dom. You know, there was a few kendo stick shots, a few chair shots. Dom did a terrible 619, as he always does, off a chair that was on Finn Balor's neck. It looks stupid, you know what I mean? Dom can't do anything right. I can't understand why people praise this guy so much. What the fuck is so fucking great about Dominic Mysterio? Someone tell me. You know, he doesn't even look like a star with his pubic head and moustache and his long hair, and I don't fucking know. I'm not a fan of Dominic Mysterio. I didn't like him when he was a babyface. I didn't like him as a heel, and I can't understand why he's even at WrestleMania. You know, I can't get behind the guy at all. I like Finn Balor as the Demon, but this was a street fight at WrestleMania, and it didn't even feel like a proper street fight. It felt like it was lacking something. But I'm happy Finn Balor won, and I hope Dominic Mysterio gets buried. You know what I mean? I hope he does, but it's never going to be the fucking case. So then we get to the next match for the Women's Championship. Rhea Ripley defeated Jade to become the new Women's Champion. Again, it was a good match. It was good, but it wasn't, oh my fucking god, this was awesome type of feel Women's Championship match. I mean, this is WrestleMania. People were cheering for Rhea Ripley more than Jade. I don't know what the big deal is about Jade losing. I mean, I don't know where it's going to go from here. There was a few outside interferences, and Io Sky came out. She did a flip off the top rope, and Rhea Ripley picked up the victory with her finisher. And then she celebrated with Io Sky as the new Women's Champion. Again, I've seen better Women's Championship matches at WrestleMania. This felt like a bit plain, you know what I mean? So, what a way to kick off WrestleMania Night 2. We get a main eventer possibly retiring. We get an excellent ladder match. and we get 3 matches in a row, which is just like either mediocre or no good. You know what I mean? So I was praying that please get better night 2. You know, surely you could top off night 1, but so far I wasn't impressed with anything. You know, there was no appearance from Stone Cold Steve Austin, The Rock, or any legends or anything like that. I know we have John Cena as the host. And speaking of that, he came up next and talk about wasting of fucking time, man. John Cena announces the attendance record. He gets interrupted by The Miz and this other guy who I've never fucking heard of, saying that he wants a WrestleMania moment. Then Danhausen comes out with all these midgets. It reminded me of the PG era when there was time wasting with all the... Because in the PG era, they had this obsession with wrestlers dancing all the time. And he comes out in like this golf cart, Danhausen does. He gets in the ring. One of the midgets punches the other guy in the balls. Miz gets attacked by all the midgets. And Cena's pretending all this time that this is very funny. When it wasn't funny at all. You know what I mean? Then Danhausen crawls under the ring, and then John Cena's just like pretending to be dying of laughter. He's going, oh, in the show. And then he introduces the main event. But talk about fucking wasting of time, man. With Danhausen with a segment that wasn't even funny. You know what I mean? It wasn't funny, it wasn't entertaining, it was just like complete time wasting. And in the main event, Roman Reigns defeated CM Punk to become the new world champion, and this was an excellent match. It kind of reminded me of like Hogan versus the Ultimate Warrior, or Hulk Hogan versus The Rock at WrestleMania. You know, it was like 2 main eventers going at it in a classic match. And what was so great about this match, there was no annoying celebrities involved. There was no outside interference, which I was kind of expecting. It was a clean victory. Roman Reigns had a clean victory over CM Punk. They kept on hitting their finishes on each other. The both guys did a really great job of trying to act like they really hated one another. You know, and we saw blood. You know what I mean? Which was even great. CM Punk was busted open. There was a time where CM Punk was hanging upside down outside the ring, and Roman Reigns delivered a few Superman punches, and then he used the steel steps to hit him off CM Punk's skull, and he then began bleeding from the skull. So it was nice to see blood, but I was going through announce tables. It was good. You know, it felt like a bitter feud. I mean, he didn't have to end in Hell in a Cell or anything like that. They just put on a classic match for the World Championship at WrestleMania. Roman Reigns came out like in this God entrance with this opera singer. CM Punk came out to his entrance. Both great entrances, and both guys put on an excellent match. You know, was this match enough to save the whole show? I don't know, because I only enjoyed 2 matches on this card. The ladder match and the main event. The rest can go to hell. You know what I mean? That's not me trying to come on here and hurt other people's feelings. It's just how I generally felt and giving you my general opinion. But the main event, I would have been happy if CM Punk would have retained. But at the same time, I'm really happy for Roman Reigns, because I like Roman Reigns, I like CM Punk. So it was kind of hard to decide who I wanted to pick as the winner. But Roman Reigns picking up a victory, I can accept that. You know what I mean? It was a great classic main event, you know, like Austin and The Rock, you know, those other great matches of the olden days of WrestleMania. It was a great classic, and me and my friends really enjoyed it. We enjoyed all the false finishes, the hard-hitting moments. There was a scene where CM Punk was trying to lift Roman Reigns onto his back, but he fell down due to exhaustion, and then he hit a spear and it was finished, you know, and... It was great. It was a great standing ovation. The crowd was mixed as well, about half cheering for Punk, half cheering for Reigns. It was really great. This felt like a WrestleMania match. On night 1 between Cody Rhodes and Orton, it was like a weird, fucked up match, you know what I mean? With celebrities getting involved and the finish was wrong. Well, this one, they did it right this time. It was a great match, you know, with no stupidity, no celebrities involved, no outside interference. A proper classic one-on-one match between 2 great athletes and 2 main eventers. And I was really impressed by that. Again, I wish we could have seen some more legends, I was disappointed my idol, Stone Cold, wasn't there. although it was rumoured that he was backstage at this year's WrestleMania, but he didn't come out. As for The Rock, there was some social media talk about him being in Vegas, but he wanted to fly back for his daughter's birthday. So, it's a shame we didn't get no icing on the cake with Night 2. I mean, Night 2 I enjoyed, like I say, only 2 matches. Night 1 had its problems. Overall, a great Mania. I would watch the main event again. But again, that's the only match I'd watch. You know, it's not one of those WrestleManias where I'd watch again in the far future. You know, I won't watch it like I do with WrestleMania 17, WrestleMania 18, WrestleMania 19, all those other great legendary WrestleManias of the past. This is not up there with one of the greatest WrestleManias of all time, and I truly believe that. And it's not one of those WrestleManias that I'll rewatch again in the far future. But still, I can get away with the main event, and that had to be the highlight of the whole night. So there's your WrestleMania Night 2 review. If you haven't seen my Night 1 review, please check that out, everybody. I'm going to get out of here right now and go to fucking bed because I've got a 5 o'clock start in the morning to go to work. But thanks for watching this, everyone. Please leave a comment below and give me your thoughts about what you thought of Night 2. I'd love to hear your thoughts. Thanks, everyone. Peace out. Take care.